Welcome back to the Gem Cutter's Craft. Today we are going to be unboxing the Fralap faceting machine right here in France. So today we have a brand new machine here to unbox. This is a very exciting one for me. Not only does this add another machine to my faceting museum collection, but more importantly, this is a machine that I've been looking forward to for a long time. So if you've been watching the channel for a while, you might remember back about 6 or 7 months ago, I was at the Tucson show and I had the Fralap manufacturer Antoine Texera in my Tucson booth demonstrating the machine, and now however many months later I have one here in my house. So let us unbox this machine and see what's going on inside the box. So this came to me today from Paris. So I was lucky that Antoine was in France right now, so a nice easy shipping. And unlike some of the other machines that I've unboxed and reviewed, this one is for me. So I have been thinking long and hard about starting my journey into the world of Jambpeg faceting, and this machine is me actualizing that idea. So let us unbox this machine and gaze a little bit into my future. So it looks like we're starting with the water container. Now, if you saw my update video from the San Marie Gem Show, you might know that since the Tucson show, Antoine has actually updated the machine, or at least he's prototyping an update for the machine. So the machine that I've ordered, the one that's in here, is the standard version that was shown at the Tucson show. But there's a couple other pieces that are going to be showing up here in a couple of weeks that will add on to the functionality of this machine. So okay, we've got our second big piece here. Let's just take everything out of the box and we'll see what we've got. Okay, more goodies, lots of goodies, well bagged up. Everything looks like it came safely. There's lots of bubble wrap and nice packaging material. Okay. So, the base. Now, part of the appeal for me for this specific machine was its size and its weight. So I've been dreaming about a machine that I can take on the road, something that I can fly around the world with, that will easily get through the airplane security and the baggage weight restrictions and not take up an entire suitcase or even 2 suitcases, which is my current situation with my current machine. Now, I absolutely love the machine that I'm using now, and I love the style of that machine, but also in my list of faceting goals, I've always known that I'm eventually going to go down the rabbit hole that is the world of Jambpeg faceting. So if you've been watching the channel, I'm sure that you've seen some of the videos that I've made talking about the Jambpeg, the historical nature of the Jambpeg, and the meditative bliss that is working freehand on the Jambpeg machine. So I want to learn that style, and I need a machine at home to be able to do that. So this is also my learning at home machine, but hopefully once I get good at this, it's going to be my taking it on the road and cutting around the world machine. So the cool thing about this machine, a couple of the cool features that really swayed me, besides the form factor and the lightweight, and this really is probably one of the lightest weight machines that I've seen. I think I haven't weighed this one, but we'll weigh it maybe towards the end here. I think it's somewhere around 11 kilos, which is less than half of the 23 kilo weight restriction of most airlines. So that's really interesting. But also, once we open the electronics part here, the really cool thing is the fact that this works in 110 and 220 volt situations. So if I'm flying to America or flying to Hong Kong or staying here in France, I don't have to worry about the power, and I don't need to bring a big voltage converter with me. And those things are super heavy and super big, and this is lightweight and small. So let us finish opening everything, and then we'll go through all of it piece by piece. So now everything has been unboxed and removed from the plastic. That's a pretty easy unboxing. There's not too many components here, which is another interesting and appealing factor. So let's go through one by one and just see what's in the box. So first of all, obviously we've got the base. This is where everything's going to get built onto. He's included one of the mechanical sticks. And if you haven't seen this type of machine before, the mechanical stick basically lets this aluminum dop stick go inside of the mechanical case, locks in there. This is what gives you your indexing with the 8 sides, but also when you pull this thing down, you've got teeth that are going around and giving you, I think, up to 64. This is something that I need to learn. So that is the mechanical case, and we've got 2 extra dop sticks. You'll notice 2 of these are indexed. Now in this situation, the indexing doesn't matter too much, but once some of the additions come, especially the preformer, which is going to be coming in a couple of weeks or a month, the indexing is going to become more important, because when you do your oval shape or your cushion shape on the preformer, you want that shape to be aligned with your 8 sides so that it's in there perfectly. So that indexing system becomes more interesting later. So the next most important thing, of course, is the Jambpeg head itself, in French known as the évention. This is the whole important part of this machine. So this is giving us our angles through placing the Jambpeg stick in the hole, and whichever hole you choose gives you the angle that you need. This plate is what the mechanical stick rests against, and then we've got our micro adjustment for height and our cheater or rotational adjustment. So let's, I guess we'll start putting it together as we go. So I will unscrew this thing. So the other thing that I'm thinking about with this machine, because I'm thinking about this as a travel machine, is how easy is it to set up and tear down? And this video is basically going to show us it's probably looking to be pretty easy. So we will put this through the hole down here and put the Jambpeg on top of it. And now we've got a washer and a lug nut. So there is our Jambpeg locked in. Keep it like this for now. And the next bit that we need to put on is the water drip mount. So this is going to sit here, and this allows this to sit on top. Simple system. So let's put this on. So once that part is attached, we can set this on here. And the only thing that we've got left to do, so the other accessories that we've got are transfer fixtures. So this is our tabling adapter. So if this is for when we're dopping, we can set this in here. Our stone is wax dopped on this part, and we can just press it against there and flatten everything out. So that's for the actual initial dopping step. And then I guess, I hadn't seen this before, but this is a typical American style transfer block. So we can put one side of our stone in here and lock it down. And then when we're transferring, we can put another one in here and lock it down. And that gives us a sort of American style way to do our transferring. And then we've got another, I'm not really sure what this one's for, so I'm going to have to ask the manufacturer and find out, but we can leave that for later. And finally, we've got one more bolt. Is this just an extra one, or did I miss something? Let's leave it for here for now. And the final thing that we need to do for the setup is to plug this thing in. So we've got one plug here that's going to go into the back of the machine. And we've got one plug here that's going to go into the wall. So unlike American style machines where everything's built in, all the electrical components are in a second box over here. So let's flip this around and hook it all up. So if we open this thing and line up the pins with the holes, tighten it, that's done. Now I just need to hook this into the wall. And again, this can do 110 or 220. So if I go to America and I need 110 volts, all I need to do is put a plug adapter on here, just a small one to let it plug into the American outlets, and it will run as well. So that's super handy for me as a traveling gem cutter. So now that everything's hooked up, I can start to use the machine. I'm going to be using the platform over here to help me do my girdle. So if I need to do emerald cuts or rectangles, I can use that to make sure that this is totally flat. And then once I'm ready to do my faceting, everything's going to be working over here. Water will be dripping there. So in this type of machine, in this specific design, the water is going to be dripping into this pan, and once the pan fills up, we're going to empty it out. It doesn't have a hose going into a wastewater container, so this is a little bit different. So I just turn this to the side, this thing pops up, and dump it out and start over again. So the way that he's designed it is that the amount of water that can fit in here and the amount of water that can fit in here go together. So this thing cannot overfill this thing, which is a pretty good design idea. Now, if you're going to be cutting all day long every day, then maybe you might want to modify this to give you a hose. But for me, again, with the thought of traveling around and doing demos and shows and stuff, this is actually kind of great because I don't need to bring an extra water container, mess with the hose, and when I go to pack up the machine when I'm done, the hose is always wet and gross, so I don't have to deal with any of that stuff here. So this is a pretty compact setup, pretty easy to set up, pretty quick. It has everything I need, and as I said, in a couple of weeks, a couple new accessories are going to come along with it. So as we saw in the San Marie preview, there is a preformer that's going to attach here that comes down and lets you do cam shapes against the platform here. So if you want to do calibrated ovals, calibrated cushions, calibrated whatever, you can do your shapes that way. And also if you just want to spin around stone, notice that there's no way to spin around here the way that we would with a handpiece or a mass type machine. The other thing that's going to come that's being worked on right now is the table cutting adapter. So what that's going to do is allow you to cut a table perfectly at 90 degrees without some other accessories. So if we take the DOP out of the mechanical case, the table adapter is going to sit over here and just let you cut a perfect 90 degrees. And that's the traditional French way of doing tables. So I'm very excited to add on to this machine and get even more functionality out of it. So other things to note about this machine, it's designed for a 6-inch lap, which for me is perfect because I'm always using 6-inch laps. They're easy to travel with, they're lighter, they're cheaper. But if you have a collection of 8-inch laps, know that they will not work on this machine. The splash pan isn't big enough. This thing's too close. Everything's too compact for an 8-inch lap. But again, for me, this is quite perfect because I wanted a machine that's smaller and lighter. So the one thing that we haven't seen on the machine is the underneath side. So let us look at that now. So if we flip the machine up on its back, we're going to see a pretty simple interface. Simply a motor powering the spindle that's going to make the lap rotate, and everything else is inside of the electronics box. So that means if any water gets down in there, no electronic issues. There's no circuit board or anything down there, and that also means that if anything goes wrong with this box and you need to send it back to the manufacturer, this thing is extremely light. That would be extremely easy to send in the mail. Other things that we haven't seen on the box, we've got on and off switch, forward and reverse, and a speed control. So we've got all of the different functions that we'd want in a faceting machine. And if we flip it around on here, there's even a fuse on the back. So if you blow a fuse, you can easily change it without having to do any internal repairs. So I think we've now seen everything on the machine. Now, if you watched my review of the KMT machine, you'll know that I have already kind of given my general thoughts about the idea of the Jambpeg as a learning tool. This, again, is the hardest type of machine to learn to facet on, so if someone's watching this video and thinking about buying it, know that you're probably going to need a teacher in order to be able to learn how to use this. It's not as user-friendly as some other machines, and there's a lot less resources online for how to use the machine, how to do all the specific techniques, and especially the diagrams don't exactly line up with this kind of indexing system. So my plan for the next year, as I said, this is the beginning of my Jambpeg journey. So one of my plans for the next year is to travel around France and travel around different parts of the Jambpeg cutting world, learning from different people that use this type of machine. Now, if you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I've already gone to England several times and worked with master gem cutter Ken Harrington, who's also using a Jambpeg style. This is a little bit of a different Jambpeg style, but a lot of the techniques that I've learned from him, I will apply to this, and I'm going to continue to learn from different cutters, different professionals, different masters, and keep making videos along the way to talk about my journey into the world of Jambpeg in this whole new type of thought process for cutting a gemstone. And hopefully, if you're looking to get into this type of machine, those videos are going to be helpful for you, whether you're learning how to cut or just trying to add more techniques into your transition into Jambpeg cutting. I know for me, this is a very, very exciting moment. It's been several years since I bought a machine for myself that's not for the collection, but is actually something for me to use. So I'm looking forward to building my desk setup for this machine and getting into learning how to use it. So if this is interesting for you, then keep on watching, because I'm going to be posting more videos about this machine, and for sure in about a month or so, once I've gotten comfortable with the machine, I'm going to be posting a full extensive review where I'm going to cut a stone, talk about the process, looking at the pros and cons, and maybe even doing a little bit of comparison between some of the different Jambpeg machines that I've been able to use so far. So thank you guys for watching this video. This has been Justin K. Prim for the Gem Cutter's Craft, and if you've enjoyed this video, definitely check out some of my other ones. They're on all different types of machines, from the Jambpeg to the handpiece to the mast to the historical. And if you've been following along on my journey all these years, thank you so much, and if you feel so inclined to do so, head on over to Patreon, where you can support me with a low monthly subscription to just help to keep these videos free and coming regularly on a weekly or bi-monthly basis. That's all for now. I'll see you guys next time right here on the Gem Cutter's Craft.